Most people think love is enough to hold a relationship together, but it's not. Without respect, love eventually fades. You can't build attraction or loyalty if the person you're with doesn't genuinely respect you. And here's the truth most men ignore. Respect isn't given, it's earned. You don't earn it through words or gifts. You earn it through behavior, boundaries, and strength. When you command respect, you set the tone. You lead with calm authority instead of emotional chaos. You don't demand attention, you inspire it. Respect makes your presence feel powerful, your silence meaningful, and your standards non-negotiable. Without it, even love turns into manipulation. But with it, everything, trust, attraction, connection, deepens naturally. Today, we're breaking down 5 powerful ways to command respect in relationships, so you can stop being taken for granted and start being treated like the man you were meant to be. 1. Lead yourself first. That's where respect begins. You can't command respect from others if you haven't earned it from yourself first. The foundation of every strong relationship, romantic or otherwise, is self-leadership. Before anyone will follow your lead, they need to feel that you're capable of leading your own life. That means discipline, direction, control. It's about being a man who doesn't just talk about standards, he lives by them. When you say you'll do something, you do it. When you set a goal, you pursue it relentlessly. That consistency builds credibility, and credibility is the root of respect. Most men make the mistake of trying to earn respect through dominance, by controlling their partner, being loud, or always winning the argument. But real power is quiet. It's the calm authority that comes from self-mastery. When you're in control of your emotions, your time, and your focus, people naturally trust your leadership. You don't need to demand respect. It's felt in your presence. Because leadership isn't about power over others. It's about power within yourself. A man who can't control his temper, impulses, or insecurities can never truly lead. But the man who can pause before reacting, who can make decisions with clarity instead of emotion, that man commands respect without ever raising his voice. People follow calm energy because it feels safe, stable, and sure. In a world full of chaos, control is magnetic. Leading yourself also means you don't compromise your values just to keep the peace. You don't betray your principles for temporary comfort. You don't live by other people's moods. You live by your mission. That kind of focus shows strength, and strength earns admiration. Here's the truth. You don't become a leader in your relationship by controlling someone. You become one by being someone worth following. When your actions, mindset, and discipline reflect purpose, respect follows automatically. Because people don't respect perfection, they respect consistency. The man who leads himself inspires others to rise with him. And that's how respect is not demanded. It's earned. Second, set boundaries and enforce them. Calmly, respect doesn't exist without boundaries. The moment you allow people to cross your limits without consequence, you teach them that your words mean nothing. Boundaries are not about control, they're about clarity. They define what kind of treatment you accept, what energy you tolerate, and how far someone can push before you walk away. Weak men avoid setting boundaries because they fear losing love. Strong men enforce boundaries because they know love without respect is meaningless. You don't gain respect by being endlessly agreeable. You gain it by standing firm when it matters. When you enforce boundaries, do it with calm strength, not anger. You don't need to yell, argue, or explain yourself to be taken seriously. The man who speaks less, but stands his ground, speaks loudest. Boundaries are like silent rules that people feel. When you calmly say, "I don't allow that," and you mean it, it changes how people see you. You move from being someone who's easy to manipulate to someone who commands presence. And that shift instantly raises your value. Here's where most men go wrong. They set boundaries, but fail to enforce them. They say, "I won't tolerate disrespect," but still engage in arguments. They say, "I need space," but answer every call. They say, "That's not acceptable," but keep forgiving repeated behavior. Every time you break your own rules, you lose credibility. Respect isn't earned through promises, it's earned through follow-through. When your actions match your words, people start believing you. When they don't, you become background noise. Boundaries also reveal self-respect. They show that you value your peace over pointless conflict. They tell others that you're not desperate for connection, you're intentional about it. And that composure is what makes people respect you even more, because deep down, everyone tests boundaries, not out of malice, but curiosity. They want to see if you're truly the man you claim to be. And when you hold your ground with quiet certainty, that test becomes attraction. The truth is simple. Without boundaries, you'll always be taken for granted, but with them, you'll always be taken seriously. Respect begins when you stop explaining yourself and start protecting yourself. The man who guards his standards never has to beg for respect. It's given naturally. Third, speak less, mean more. Respect isn't earned through volume, it's earned through weight. The man who talks endlessly, trying to prove his point, comes across as insecure. But the man who chooses his words carefully, who speaks with intention, instantly commands attention. Because when you speak less, people start listening more. Your silence becomes powerful. Your words start to carry meaning. And that quiet confidence separates leaders from followers, men from boys, and those who seek validation from those who already have it. Most men talk too much because they fear silence. They fill every pause with nervous chatter, over-explaining or defending themselves. But real strength needs no defense. When you're grounded, you don't rush to convince anyone. You let your presence speak for you. Every great leader understands this. Restraint amplifies respect. The less you speak, the more people analyze what you say. The man who doesn't overshare, doesn't gossip, and doesn't argue about nonsense holds a rare kind of authority. He's not quiet because he's weak. He's quiet because he's in control. When you speak, speak with clarity and conviction. Look people in the eye. Keep your tone calm, not emotional. State your truth once, and let your actions reinforce it. When your words and behavior align, people see you as trustworthy. And trust is the foundation of respect. Empty promises, exaggerated stories, and emotional outbursts do the opposite. They weaken your credibility. But when every word you speak carries consistency behind it, you become someone people remember. Silence is also a filter. It reveals who truly respects you. The ones who value you will adjust to your calm. The ones who need chaos will get uncomfortable and leave, and that's a gift. Because your peace is more valuable than proving your point. Here's the truth. The loudest man in the room rarely holds real power. The calmest one usually does. Speak when it adds value. Stay silent when it doesn't. That's not passivity, it's discipline. And discipline is the mark of a man who's mastered himself. So stop trying to fill every silence. Let people feel your presence instead of hearing your explanations. Because when your silence has weight, your words will always have meaning, and your respect will follow naturally. Fourth, stay grounded. Never let emotions control you. Respect isn't built in comfort, it's built in conflict. Anyone can look composed when life is smooth, but how you respond when you're tested determines how much people respect you. The man who loses control, who yells, panics, or reacts emotionally to everything, might feel powerful in the moment, but he loses credibility instantly. People respect consistency, not chaos. That's why emotional control is one of the highest forms of strength. When you stay calm while others lose their heads, you separate yourself. You show that your emotions don't own you, you own them, and that control earns silent, lasting respect. A grounded man doesn't react to disrespect with rage, he responds with clarity. He doesn't need to prove his dominance. His composure already proves it. The more you can stay calm under pressure, the more power you hold. Because calmness isn't weakness, it's mastery. It says, you can't shake me, that you can't pull me out of my frame. And that's what people follow. Women trust it. Men admire it. Everyone feels safer around it. Emotional control also prevents manipulation. When you stay grounded, no one can bait you into reacting. They can't guilt you, shame you, or provoke you into losing your composure. You control the pace, the tone, and the outcome of every interaction. That's true authority. Not in overpowering others, but in never being overpowered by emotion. Here's where most men fail. They confuse emotional expression with emotional discipline. Expressing emotion is human. Being ruled by emotion is weakness. When every mood dictates your behavior, people stop trusting you. But when you can feel deeply while still acting with logic, you earn both trust and admiration. People follow the man who can stay steady in the storm because he represents safety, direction, and strength. Here's the truth. Storms are inevitable. Disrespect, rejection, frustration, they'll come. But the man who stays grounded through it all becomes unbreakable. Because power isn't about never feeling, it's about never folding. The man who can smile when others rage, think when others panic, and act when others freeze commands a level of respect that words could never buy. Stay calm. Stay grounded. That's how true power is seen and felt. Fifth, always choose actions over. Words talk is cheap, but action changes everything. In relationships, people respect what you do, not what you promise. You can say all the right things, but if your behavior doesn't match, your words become noise. Respect isn't built through speeches, it's built through consistency. Every time you follow through, you reinforce your credibility. Every time you say one thing and do another, you weaken it. The man who acts decisively, who delivers without boasting, commands more respect in silence than others do with 1,000 words. Because reliability is power, and consistency is its proof. People pay attention to patterns, not declarations. You can't convince someone to respect you, you have to show them why they should. When you keep your word, show up on time, and hold yourself accountable, people feel your strength without you saying a word. It's not about perfection, it's about integrity. When your actions align with your principles, trust builds naturally. And trust is the foundation of all lasting respect. The problem is, most men rely on words because words are easy. It takes no discipline to make promises. It takes discipline to keep them. But when your behavior is predictable in its reliability, you stand out in a world full of excuses. People start associating your name with follow-through. They think, if he says it, he'll do it. And that reputation carries more weight than any apology or explanation ever could. Choosing action over words also separates you from the emotionally reactive. While others argue, defend, or justify, you move in silence. You don't need to explain your decisions. You let results speak for you. And that quiet confidence commands instant respect because it's rooted in results, not rhetoric. Here's the truth. Words can inspire, but only action earns loyalty. You can't demand respect. You have to demonstrate it. Be the man who acts without seeking recognition, who handles his responsibilities without needing applause. That's the kind of man people admire, trust, and follow. Because when you live by action, you don't need to say you're disciplined, confident, or strong. They'll see it. And that's the highest form of respect, one that doesn't need to be spoken, only witnessed. Sixth, never beg for respect. Walk away when it's not given. The quickest way to lose respect is to chase it. The moment you start pleading for acknowledgement, attention, or validation, you've already surrendered your power. Real men don't beg to be respected. They command it through presence, boundaries, and self-worth. And when that respect isn't returned, they don't argue, they don't explain, they simply walk away. Because walking away is the loudest statement of all. It says, I value myself too much to stay where I'm not valued. That kind of detachment doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from confidence. When you stay in spaces that diminish you, you teach people how to treat you. Every time you tolerate disrespect, every time you explain why you deserve better, you lower your own standard. Respect isn't something you convince people to give. It's something you withdraw when it's missing. The man who knows when to leave commands more authority than the man who tries endlessly to be understood. Because the man who walks away in silence radiates strength, while the man who argues for respect radiates weakness. Here's where most men go wrong. They confuse patience with permission. They think staying quiet or forgiving too easily shows maturity. But if there are no consequences, there's no respect. Silence without boundaries is submission. True composure means you can stay calm and still take action. You don't need revenge. You don't need to shout. You simply remove your presence. And when your absence is felt, respect often follows, but even if it doesn't, you've already won. Walking away also protects your dignity. You don't compromise your peace trying to fix someone's lack of appreciation. You don't stay where your value is debated. You invest your energy into people and places that see your worth, not those that drain it. And the more you do this, the more your confidence grows, because every time you choose yourself, your self-respect strengthens. And that's what makes people take you seriously. Here's the truth. Respect isn't earned by force, it's preserved by standards. When you stop begging for it and start enforcing it, everything changes. The man who can walk away without bitterness, without drama, and without fear commands the highest level of respect possible. Because strength isn't shown in holding on, it's shown in knowing when to let go. Seventh, Live by standards, not feelings. Respect is built on consistency, and consistency is built on standards. Most men lose respect in relationships because they operate from emotion, not principle. They make decisions based on mood instead of mindset. But when you have standards, clear, unwavering rules for how you live and what you tolerate, you become unshakable. People can feel it. Your energy changes. You don't argue for respect, you embody it. Standards tell the world, this is who I am, and nothing will move me from that. And that kind of discipline commands admiration from everyone around you. A man without standards is unpredictable. One day he's strong, the next he's compromising. One moment he's confident, the next he's apologizing for things he didn't do wrong. That instability makes people lose trust. And when trust is gone, respect follows. But a man who lives by standards doesn't sway with emotions. He can feel anger, temptation, or doubt, but he still chooses integrity over impulse. That's what makes him dependable. And dependability, not charm or dominance, is what earns lasting respect. Standards also protect you from manipulation. When people know your limits, they stop testing them. They adjust to your frame or they remove themselves. And both outcomes serve you. You don't have to yell, prove, or justify your decisions. You just stand firm. And every time you hold your standard under pressure, you build your reputation as a man who means what he says. That quiet consistency is magnetic because it's rare. Living by standards doesn't make you rigid, it makes you rooted. You're not ruled by how you feel in the moment. You're guided by what you believe long term. That kind of steadiness builds trust, authority, and admiration. People start respecting you not because of what you demand, but because of what you demonstrate. Here's the truth. Feelings fade, moods shift, but standards endure. They keep your emotions in check, your relationships healthy, and your power intact. The man who lives by feelings is easily swayed. The man who lives by standards shapes his world. And that's the man everyone respects, even when they don't always agree with him. Because strength isn't about being liked, it's about being respected. Conclusion. Respect is not something you chase, it's something you command through how you live, speak, and carry yourself. Every action, every decision, and every boundary you set tells people exactly how to treat you. When you lead yourself first, stay calm under pressure, and live by unshakable standards, you project strength without saying a word. And that strength earns more respect than any demand ever could. The truth is, relationships thrive on respect far more than they do on love. Love may create connection, but respect maintains balance. When people respect you, they listen differently, they speak differently, they feel differently around you. You become someone they can't ignore. Because your energy says, I value myself, and if you want access to me, you must do the same. So never chase respect. Build it. Through discipline, consistency, and calm power. The man who commands respect doesn't need validation. His presence alone defines the standard. Be that man. The one who doesn't just talk about strength, but lives it. Because once you earn real respect, everything else, love, loyalty, admiration, follows naturally.